be honest here, Angela Merkel is not a charismatic political performer. So we can rule that factor out in explaining why some 2/3 of Germans currently approve of her management during the corona crisis. In fact, it seems to be her calm, collected, science-led style that is key to her success. Its hallmark, the Merkel diamond. Here's a closer look at her strategy since the corona crisis began. Typically for Merkel, she took her time to speak up in the early days of the pandemic. Many say too long. But when she did, she became the first international leader to be as blunt as to present her public with some unfiltered, scary facts.
Weiter muss man verstehen, wenn das Virus da ist und noch keine Immunität der Bevölkerung gegenüber diesem Virus vorliegt, keine Impfmöglichkeiten existieren, auch noch keine Therapiemöglichkeiten, dass dann ein hoher Prozentsatz, Experten sagen 60-70% der Bevölkerung infiziert werden.
Und das hat die Frau Bundeskanzlerin eben zu Recht gesagt, dass es sich um ein pandemisches Virus handelt, also ein Virus, das 60-70% der Menschen infizieren wird.
I was in the room when Angela Merkel effectively handed the lead over to Germany's top scientists. While experts saw themselves struggling with their leaders in other countries hit by the corona crisis, Angela Merkel was willing to listen.
Und unsere politischen Maßnahmen richten wir an den Empfehlungen dieser Fachleute aus.
Germans didn't need much convincing after seeing the harrowing scenes in hospitals in northern Italy. As the shutdown kicked in, there was a first for Angela Merkel. For the first time in more than 14 years of being German Chancellor, she spontaneously took to national television to plead with Germans to take their own responsibility in this crisis, with no promise of a happy end.
Diese Situation ist ernst und sie ist offen. Das gehört zu einer offenen Demokratie. Dass wir die politischen Entscheidungen auch transparent machen und erläutern. Dass wir unser Handeln möglichst gut begründen und kommunizieren, damit es nachvollziehbar wird.
Germany managed to flatten the curve without overstretching its healthcare system. Angela Merkel called this a fragile success as many regions started to reopen. But the Chancellor didn't celebrate. Instead, she acted as a kind of matron of her 16 federal state leaders. Some, she felt, were getting ahead of themselves in declaring the worst of the crisis to be over.
Niemand hört es gerne, aber es ist die Wahrheit. Wir leben nicht in der Endphase der Pandemie, sondern immer noch an ihrem Anfang. Wir werden noch lange mit diesem Virus leben müssen.
Germany's empty hospital beds are evidence of Angela Merkel's leadership success. Yet thousands took to the streets across Germany to protest Merkel's corona policy, a loud minority, as the latest polls continue to show more than 80% of Germans backing the restrictions. But corona has also exposed one of her biggest failings in almost 1.5 decades as German Chancellor, Germany's lack of digitalization that have left schools and businesses scrambling in the new social distancing environment. The lack of progress on a COVID-19 tracing app already used by South Korea, for instance, highlights Germany's old-school approach to this historic challenge. But when it comes to things she simply hasn't thought through yet, Merkel, very unworld leader-like, simply asks for more time.
Für diese Meinungsbildung brauche ich noch ein paar Stunden, Herr Vogel, aber ich werde Sie dann informieren.
So it appears that Angela Merkel's biggest secret to success in this crisis so far was that she didn't really have any, that she was willing to say what she didn't know. As a result, the German Chancellor, who until just over 2 months ago was already being described as a lame duck leader in her last term, has now emerged with soaring approval ratings, leaving Merkel fans and critics more than ever at a loss to imagine a post-Merkel Germany in autumn 2021.